All right. In this video, I want to show how it doesn't matter how you actually approach people. It really doesn't. Because if your spirits don't actually match, you're just going to butt heads no matter what. So it doesn't matter if you come at somebody uh, kind and reasonable, or if you come at them like a buckshot and just hit them with it, right? If your spirits don't line up, it doesn't matter. If they don't want to hear what you got to say, they're not going to hear what you got to say, no matter how you come to them. So you just got to be you, right? And I see this because I see Christians at times trying to reach people, and they can get caught up in how people are, where there's people who don't care. They're just wasting your time getting you to try to convince them of something that they don't care about. They don't care if it's true or not. They just want you wasting your time, and they want to taunt you and mock you. And people get caught up with that. And then when they realize they're wasting their time, they start trolling and mocking and scoffing. They just tit for tat kind of thing, right? And they get caught up in it, and other Christians will call them out about representing Christianity bad, and they got to come at a different approach and this and that and critiquing them, right? But I've been doing that. I've been actually coming to people differently within the last couple of years and not engaging in their trolling, not doing a tit for tat. And it doesn't matter. Such as in this Facebook group. The admin here is James Blaine, and I've been talking to him and others in here for about a month, roughly, maybe a little bit longer, a little bit shorter than that. And this guy James has already been saying to me uh, that he'll ban me, and it's like, for what? What did I do? And basically, the only thing I can get from him is that I disagree with him. So for, I don't know, I'm gonna say about a week, he's been saying off and on about banning me and kicking me out and giving me warnings. Like he says, that's your first warning, that's your second one, and it's like, what did I do? And here he talks about I have a warning because he said, give me a link, right? And as soon as he asks it, he expects me to produce one. And then since I didn't produce one that fast, I have a warning, right? Second warning. And it's like, you serious? I mean, you're obviously just looking for a reason to ban me, right? And that's where I'm here. I laugh at his comment because I'm just expecting him to ban me because he's been saying it for a while and it seems like he's just fed up. Because in this conversation, we're talking about how the Catholic Church around the 1100s, maybe the 1200s, actually forbid the lay people from reading the Bible, right? And they weren't allowed to do this in their own language, right? They had to have it in Latin, and they had to have the priest basically be there and read it for them and tell them what it means and all this. And he was trying to say it's not true, and it's kind of weird because uh, being online and running a forum, I'm pretty sure you would have known about this, right? So I give him a link, and you see here how it's pending. It doesn't come through. So I was like, hey, let the comment through, right? Because it's like, oh, I'm assuming I'm getting banned. I'm like, hey, it seems like what you're doing is just looking for an excuse to get rid of me. Because you ask for a link, I give you a link, and you won't. It doesn't go through, right? And I give him a screenshot, and this is his response to it. He says, okay, screenshot, what's that mean? Come on, big man, explain yourself. So you see here the taunting, right? So, like, come on, explain yourself, come on, big man. Like, he's trolling, obviously, right? And I just pointed out to him, I said, you are trolling and looking for a reason to mute me or ban me. I'm sure Jesus is proud of you. And he talks about how he sees the source ghosted, and then he's like, explain yourself. But it's like, what are you talking about? I posted it. You're the admin. You're the one that can let it through or not. What do you mean, explain myself? Right? And this is just setting up for what actually happens following, I believe, the next day or two. I'm talking to somebody else here in this first comment here, and actually, it's my first comment to him where he jumps into a conversation I'm having with somebody else, and for some reason he jumps in, he's upset about something, and says he's going to block me again. And it's like, what did I do? Who did I wrong? I'm just talking to somebody. He butts into the conversation, and it was about whether or not accidentally killing somebody is a crime, right? And it's called manslaughter. If you were accidentally hit somebody with your car and they died, that's manslaughter. And in the scriptures, manslaughter is punishable even with death, such as an example, if somebody had an ox who is known to be aggressive and push with his horns, and that ox ended up killing somebody, then it would be life for life. You and the ox would die for the death of whoever died, right? So even though it was an accident, it wasn't murder, it was still life for life. So I was saying in the comment previous to this, in my response to him, I was saying, well, according to God, you pay for it, right? You don't just get away with killing somebody because it was an accident, right? And that makes sense because then people, what would they do because of our sinful nature? We would make deaths look like accidents so that we could get away with it. So even if it's an accident, there's still repercussion because God knows how we are. Can you imagine how many people would make things look like accidents so they could get away with it? So he accuses me of speaking for God. Oh, you speak for God? And it's like, what are you talking about? Have you followed the conversation? Because you're just jumping in and attacking me for no reason, right? So I was like, God spoke for himself. I'm just repeating what he said in his word. And he's talking about blocking me. So I said, typical Catholic, blocking someone for not agreeing with them. And then he's like, no, blocking you for being a jerk. Keep it up. And he was like, a jerk? What did I do? And that's what I asked him. What have I done wrong to anyone in here? If disagreeing with you makes me a jerk, then you would be a jerk for disagreeing with me. And that's where he mutes me and says, I'm not going to get the last word. And it's like I'm in a conversation with somebody else. You're coming into it, and I'm having a conversation with you, and I'm trying to get the last word. So you see, it doesn't matter what you do. Spirits just don't mesh up. And because I'm preaching the word of God, preaching the truth, and I'm not agreeing with their man-made traditions, it doesn't matter how nice I am, how reasonable I am. It just doesn't matter. They're going to find any reason to get rid of me. And this happens to me in basically all the forums that I'm part of that are run by Catholics. So I ended up messaging him here. This first comment was from a different conversation we had, a real brief one, nothing about being kicked out or anything. I asked him, what am I silenced for? And he's just like, don't PM me again. You don't get the final word here. And I was like, I wasn't trying to get the final word. I was engaging in a conversation. So it seems as though he silenced me so that he can have the last word. And if you're familiar with narcissism, That's one of the key traits of a narcissist is they have to have the last word. It's some kind of tick, some kind of OCD kind of thing. If they don't have the last word, it eats at them. They have to say anything. It doesn't matter as long as they're the ones that say the last word, right? Which is kind of why, since the mute was over, this morning I went to where he said, I'm not going to have the last word, and I just replied to him saying last word. Uh, I'm assuming he's just going to kick me out anyway. It doesn't matter. So uh, just tease him a little bit there. But in this conversation here, I explain that, and he says he doesn't care. So you see, it doesn't matter what the issue is, right? He just wants to get rid of me. And I'm just trying to make that clear that this has nothing to do with breaking the group's rules or anything like that. He says something about being nasty, and it's like, hey, you're going to accuse me of being nasty, then prove it. That's a defamation of character. He says here, don't care, you are nasty to many of our posters, and they have complained. Also, always coming back playing the victim is laughable. I suggest you just ignore my post and comments. You are on thin ice in this group. So I was like, show me where I was nasty to anyone. I wronged no one. Show me and I'll be quiet. So if there's people complaining about me being nasty, show me. Show me where I'm being nasty. What did they complain about? That I didn't agree with them? Because that's the only thing that's going on in this group concerning me, not agreeing with the people in it. And he says, I don't have time to go through and do that, nor do I have to. Now stop crying. So again, with the taunting, right? The trolling. Come back and be better. If you don't be quiet, I will quiet you. So you see the Catholic spirit here, right? I'm the boss. You submit to me. And it's just kind of like narcissism. We have a lot of nice people in our group, and you are not the first mud-slinging Protestant here. You would also not be the first booted, but we try to give lost Protestants more chances than we do the Catholics. We know that they have problems with authority. And it's like, but you don't actually have authority. Yeah, you have group rules, and I'm not breaking the group rules. That's why he's not showing me what I've broken. He's saying I'm being nasty. So I ask him here, how am I going to correct the behavior so that I don't get silenced again if I'm not shown what I did wrong? Right? And this is me being nasty. I said typical Catholic. He says that is a bigoted statement. You can excuse me, but you will not excuse the church, Eucharist, etc. Read the rules. And he was like, what? And he's posted the two replies here, I guess, where I said, God spoke for himself in his word, and I'm just repeating what God said. And I said, typical Catholic, blocking someone for not agreeing with them. And it was like, that's being nasty? Because I said, oh, you just block people for not agreeing with you, and that's what Catholics do, right? Because they think that they have control and they're the authority, and when you don't submit to it, they have to get rid of you, right? So I was like, really? That was being nasty. I was like, your rules, but that is pretty thin-skinned. And he meant, I don't care, but he put, do my care, now leave me alone. So I left him alone. I had enough information here to see why I was silenced and why I'm probably going to get banned from this group soon. It's just going to happen. The Catholics are just as bad as the silencing and censorship that you get on the rest of Facebook and Instagram and YouTube, where you can't say certain things or they will remove your comments, they'll suspend you for a certain time, or they'll shut down your channels, all right? The Catholics are no different, right? You agree with them, you submit to how they do things, and if you don't agree with them, then silenced, censored, and they don't care. But they're Christian. They're supposedly Christian, so they should have this love for everybody and loving your enemies and treating others how they want to be treated, a golden rule. But they're very biased and unfair and unjust, and just will make up any excuse to silence you, just like the left, like we see with all these censorships going on all the social media. If you speak your mind, well, it better agree with whoever's in control, because if not, you're bad, you're evil, and you're going to be silenced. Because apparently what you're saying is it's automatic hate speech and medical misinformation and whatever else, right? They'll just say some phrase and they won't tell you exactly what it is. Like, if you ever tried to appeal something on YouTube, for example, where you're banned for hate speech, and you'll say, okay, what exactly did I say that was hate speech? And they don't tell you anything. They just go, appeal denied. And it was like, so there's not any reason. You just didn't like what I said in the video, so you're calling it hate speech as a justification for censoring. And that's why we have to allow things that people don't like, such as hate speech and other things like that, medical misinformation. Because if you don't allow people to say things that disagree with you, that you think are hateful, that you think are wrong, then you are slowly removing free speech. And you're getting used to it and accepting it. And then you only hear one point of view, and you get stuck in your little box and manipulated and controlled. And the sad thing is I think a lot of people want that. And that's why nothing's really being done about this. But, yeah, just wanted to show that, hey, you can see in the chat I had with him here, the DM, that I was being reasonable with the guy, trying to go, hey, what exactly did I get silenced for? And it took a little bit of pressure for him to say, because being nasty, saying it's typical for a Catholic to block someone who disagrees with them. That's nasty. It's like, what? I mean, you were saying to, come on, big man, stop your crying. And me saying Catholic blocks people for disagreeing with them. I'm nasty. I'm not saying what he did was nasty, but I would think what I said was below what he said on the chart of nastiness. I don't know if you agree with that, taunting somebody, come on, big man, stop crying. Oh, wow. That's, being childish, nasty, provoking, right? He's trying to get me to respond so that he can have an excuse to uh, get rid of me. I was calling him out for trolling and doing just that. And he's saying, you called me a troll again. I'm going to silence you or ban you. And it's just kind of like, you're crazy, right? You just don't want me to say the truth. Stop telling everybody the truth. Stop saying what I'm doing. Don't let it be obvious, right? Just shut up, which is basically what he was saying in this thing. Be quiet, or I'll quiet you. And it's like, this guy, narcissist. And that's why Catholics who like to have discussions, you only find them in groups run by Catholics. The ones that actually go to groups not run by Catholics are very rough Catholics where they are mouthy, they'll chew you out and cuss you out, and you know, they'll either do that or they just spam some articles to the rosary or something about Mary, and they don't engage in anything. They just do that and they leave. The ones that will engage you are those in actually Catholic run groups, because then they can complain to the admin if you disagree with them, right? And they got the control and they can manipulate things. And they always love to be in the top spot. They don't like being in a group where they're not in charge, because Catholicism is a narcissistic religion where they can't stand being equal with people. So they definitely can't stand being below them. So if they're in a group where they're not the admin, they're there to troll or just to throw some stuff and leave, because they can't stand it. They need to be above. And that's where they think they are, and where they think they belong is above you. And you can see this in the way this guy acts. And this is the typical response you get from Catholics, especially when they're in charge of a group. They're not very reasonable people. They're not fair. They're not just. It's my way or the highway, not in a sense of, hey, I'm going to prove my way is the right way and your way's wrong. No, you're disagreeing with me, you're gone. Because I don't have to prove anything. I don't have to disprove you. I'm right, you're wrong. That's just how it is. Bye. It's narcissistic to its extreme. But I'm done ranting and venting about this. You get the point. And hopefully this comes up clear. But anyway, thanks for watching and take care.